So thank you, Luke, for making it to our meeting. As I was telling you, we think you are a golden member at Wize, which we highly appreciate you engaging with everything, going to every class, being super cool with our mentors. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your Wize journey and everything. And we want to start from the top. So I wanted to know, when did your business start? Like which year, how long ago?
I believe it was September, October of 2021, I think. So
Okay.
it's been more than a year. So I'm pretty sure that's right. I
Yeah,
think it was
that's when you
fall,
started with Wize.
right. I think, yeah, fall 2021. So it's been more than a year.
Nice. You've been for quite a long time. And when did you start your firm?
2010. Really went full time with it mid 2011.
Okay, super. And I know you've accomplished a lot since you started your firm and since you started your Wize growth journey. But before Wize, I wanted to ask you if there was something keeping you up at night regarding your business or challenges that you were facing with your business before you found Wize.
Yeah, we did experience strong growth, and we had I hired a marketing firm from the very beginning. And so the lead generation was always there. And so over the years, we were just trying to figure out how to make more of the leads and like how to provide more services. Back in 2016, it was, I think we started doing service levels and trying to do advisory, just go beyond the compliance work. And so that was successful. And so our fees were going up, the number of staff members were going up. We were making money, but I think we could never figure out the right staffing structure. That was probably the biggest pain point. So I'd have staff come and go, I'd have clients come and go. And so what we found in 2017 to 2020 is probably the peak where we were signing up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business every year, and we were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars of business every year. So there was net growth, but it was a ton of churning. And so we weren't able to hang on to a lot of the clients we signed up. And I think a lot of it was the staffing structure problem.
Okay, got it. So there was basically lots of work, but not lots of staff to manage it. Was it taking a toll on you? Like, were you working long hours?
I mean, I'm not a workaholic, so I just at some point I refused to keep going, but I think my frustration level was just at an all-time high to where I didn't really even want to do it anymore. When I called Jamie and then got in touch with Tim and everything, I mean, it was kind of helpful to hear their stories because some of what Jamie said was how I was feeling right then.
Yeah.
And because I was at the point where it's like, I just kind of wanted to burn it down. I had tried and tried and tried to do it right. I think the biggest thing for me personally was that anytime I had a key staff member leave, my whole life got turned upside down. And all of a sudden I could do their job, because there wasn't enough redundancy. We weren't structured right. I have and still have some wonderful staff people who I want to leave, but like I thought, I can't live like this. I can't make any plans. As soon as something goes sideways, everything changes for me. And then I'm like right back in it. So I was pretty frustrated and desperate, I guess.
I'm happy that that's not how you are today, and that Jamie's story resonated with you, because yeah, he was at this point very much like that was rock bottom for him. So
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because a lot of things were going right, and
yeah,
but when as a leader you get just so frustrated to where it's like this isn't working, like it's making money but it's not. Start to weigh the pros and cons of whether it's even worth it from a
yeah,
family standpoint. It's like I'm not in it just to make money. I want to enjoy it.
exactly.
So a lot of what Jamie said really resonated with me. And of course, once I got into it with Tim, same thing. I mean, and it helped me realize I'm not the only one. Other people have faced this and have done things, then it felt hopeful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad you enjoyed like enrolling with Tim and then Jamie. Like it's all about that. It's not only connecting with people who know about things, it's also connecting on a personal level, which is something that I wanted to ask you. Like, do you feel like there was a mindset shift since you started your Wize journey? Because of course there was a staffing structure shift, but in terms of mindset, lifestyle, do you feel like you envision different things?
I was never like a compliance based firm just trying to churn out tons of returns. I mean, I delegated, I had teams, I was doing a lot of things right. So in terms of mindset, I already really was trying to do what Wize had. I just wasn't all the way there, and I needed their advice to get there. So it's not that my mind changed. It's just that I felt like I found an answer to what was lacking. It's not like I believed in the way I was doing it and then had to shift it. It was more that I was already trying to do what they did, but unless I want to do another 10 years of trial and error, I needed to take their advice. I think mainly what I felt is that I'm not alone and that people understand and that they're willing to give advice and I'm willing to take it and do whatever they tell me. I felt hopeful.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Actually, what you mentioned before, that you found more people who thought like you.
Yeah, and who had done a better job than I had. And so, hey, that's fine with me. Like I love to take advice. So I felt like, hey, if they did it, I can do it too. And for me, it's either that or just get out of it and find something else to do.
Okay. So when you were stuck in this mentality of probably getting out or continuing like in that kind of point, do you feel like there was an advice that you would have loved to hear or that you could give today to someone who isn't at that point of wanting to stop? Like what would be the one advice that you would give to them?
I would tell them that there is hope, that if you're willing to take advice and do what people tell you, that the Wize mentoring system can get you there. And it's not like an instant fix, like any real change takes time. And so you have to be patient and you have to still try, different things, but there is hope. And so rather than just sell what you have and move on, why not fix it into something that's going to be better for you and for the staff long term? So I think there's reasons not to give up. I think when we get into that position where we're so frustrated and so stuck, it's easy. Like I was starting to believe, even if you don't say it out loud, like I'm the only one who knows how hard this is. I'm the only one, who's been this stuck. And then when you realize you're not, and it's like, well, okay, if other people can figure it out, then I can too.
That's great because that's brave actually to think that you could not just get out of it and just sell it and just toss it to the trash basically, because many people just quit. And I think it's very worth it. Like even if you want to sell it in the future, sell something that is worthy. That's at least how I see it.
Right. Get something out of all the years you put into it instead of just having it feel like a big colossal failure or something that you look back on with
Yeah.
disgust. I mean, that's not satisfying. And I have a lot of good employees who I want them to have a future too. And so it's not just for my sake. I mean, it's for their sake, for the client's sake, that if there is a path forward in a different way, why not try that?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. So I wanted to ask you more on a personal level. Do you have any hobbies or activities that you enjoy doing?
Oh yeah. I mean, I like to work out, although I don't do it as much as I should or used to. I've studied the Bible a lot. I do, I like theology. I'm into rowing, so I'm kind of like an on water and indoor rower. And that's part of my workout routine, so that's fun for me. I play the piano, and it's kind of something that my wife does, and I've done for a long time, so I enjoy that.
You both play the piano.
Yeah, she just started recently. I grew up taking lessons for many, many years. And so it's something I've sort of resurrected as a hobby and remembered how much I like it. So yeah, I try to do those things. But I got 4 kids, so I don't have time to just pursue hobbies endlessly.
That's the hobby,
You're
kids.
right. So if I can stay in shape and do a few fun things, that's good enough.
Yeah, that's about it. That's your quota. But I
Right.
played the piano when I was younger. Yeah, I took classes and did it for 2 years, but I stopped.
Mm,
And I am so mad at myself for stopping, but it was not interesting at that. It was like my teenager phase. So it wasn't that cool
mhm.
at that time, but I would love to take it. So you
Well,
guys might inspire me.
I mean, my wife just picked it up and, she's well into adulthood. So like you can always do it later and probably you do a better job than when you were a teenager anyway. And, it's like anything else. You just have a good amount of time and get over the hump of it being so hard. Then it's really great.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And it was a great time. But as you were saying, I probably would be better now than then. I wasn't paying much attention.
I understand. It's hard to pay attention to anything as a teen. It's certainly hard to like work towards something.
And I'm like, today, I'm like, why did I quit? But when you are a teenager, you're doing many things. Like I was also on sports and doing school and everything. So probably that was it. But I would love to retake.
Yeah, I got to the point where I wanted to quit too. And my parents just said, no. So I didn't quit, and now I'm grateful.
Yeah, my parents said no as well, but they were like, we cannot force you to go. So you do as you
Otherwise, you could blame them.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that. So I wanted to ask you a last question. Is there anything that you feel like we could be doing for you, like to serve you better? Any feedback, anything that you would like to share with us?
I mean, I didn't come to this with any complaints. I mean, I got my meeting with Tim coming up, so I just have to get ready for that. I don't know when I've arrived. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know when have I made all the changes. Because there's always stuff to work on. There's always, and I know some of the guys have and ladies have like they do Wize mentoring for a couple of years, and then they're tutoring other people, mentoring other people. And I think, so what's the point at which you've arrived? Probably when I'm back out of my firm and I'm running it more as an executive. I'm still on that path. I don't know what progress I should expect in the next 12 months, I guess.
Well, I'd say Tim used to be a Wize member. So that's a great thing to look up to when you discover that this rule of 33%, which I didn't know it was called like that, but I was doing it my whole life, meeting people who I look up to, and then found other people who I could teach something to, which was exciting. If that's not your route, probably, yeah, withdrawing from the business. How do you see having a business that runs without you? Does that excite you? It scares you? Do you look forward to that?
Oh yeah, that's what I've been trying to get to. I just haven't been able to get to it. I want that. I mean, I like running the business, and that's why I got into the business. I didn't get into it because I desperately want to be a technician and do all the work. I mean, I can do the work and all that, but I like seeing the business grow. And if I'm in the business, it's not going to do as well. So I definitely want to own it as an investor. And I feel like, especially the older I get, like I feel like I've put in my time to be able to reap some years back, I guess, where it's not such a struggle. So yeah, it doesn't scare me in the slightest.
That's nice because it's the opposite. You are keen to get there.
Yeah, I guess not everybody is. Like, does it scare some people to get to that point?
Yeah, basically, they think that business is their baby, so they wouldn't see the business running without them, actually, like without them. For example, Jamie, I think he works a day in his business. There's people who aren't very comfortable with not being on their chairs.
Well, I'm not
So
one of
there's a
those
mindset
people.
shift there. That's
Yeah.
what I talked about, mindset shift. So you have to build a boat that you feel can go on for miles and miles without thinking it will drown, basically. So there's a lot of inner work as well.
Yeah, I'm ready for that to happen. And I did the WizeTalent. That was another huge thing for me as I learned what the hiring process should be. So not only did I hire people through that, but I learned the process, which is what they try to teach you. And then I just hired a couple more people using that process just in the last month. So that's been one huge thing to equip me, because the people I would have hired before, because of the new process I learned, it weeded out a lot of those people. And so that's a tremendous skill. I got Manitel, I got the test, I do everything exactly how they do it. And I noticed it eliminated a lot of people along the way that I would have hired. So the people I'm hiring are higher quality, which is a huge step towards independence. So yeah, I'm on my way towards it. I'm not scared of it at all. I want that. I have plenty I can do. And my business doesn't define me. It's not like a ego thing for me. It's just needs to an end.
That's important. I think that's one huge step because of what I was saying. And I wanted to ask you one last question, I promise, but this is so interesting that you just said that you were following the right process now. When you look back and see on your previous process and some staff that you said that you were having some churn and everything, people were quitting, like how do you feel that was one main takeaway that you felt like you were doing wrong and now you've nailed it?
I mean, I can give you more than one. I mean, I wasn't checking references. I mean, that's you. I mean, like that's weeded people out. There's a lot of people who I kind of wanted to hire, and they just flat out wouldn't give me references. They wouldn't, or the ones they gave me were worthless. And that's a huge red flag. And some of the people I've hired, had I checked their references, I think I never would have hired them. And so taking tests, taking competency tests, that has weeded out a lot of people. I got a person that was, I mean, we were so interested in hiring her that she actually flew out to New York, where I am, did an all-day in-person interview, all that stuff. Like, we were ready to hire her, but that was the one thing left, which she knew that she had to do. And when it came down to it, she just refused to take the tests. And so we didn't hire her. And, she made up excuses about this and that, but she wouldn't do it. And I'm like, it's a non-negotiable. So, I mean, just those two things alone have weeded out a lot of people. And just having a process where people have to fill out an application, which a lot of people like refuse to do that. So it's like, bye, you know.
But I think that's just as principal and essential to hire someone. Like refusing to fill out something, that's probably a red flag in terms of transparency.
Yeah, it's like they're too good to do it. I mean, that's kind of the attitude. Like, I don't have to do that. Just give me a call. It's like, no, I'm not going to call you. I learned how to conduct interviews better. I mean, I thought I was pretty good at it, but I had to change a lot. So,
Now,
yeah, having a rigid process that where you make people jump through a lot of hoops. And as you know, Tim and others have told me, it's like you're looking for reasons not to hire people. And that's how I view it now. Is if I hire the person who doesn't give me any reasons not to. So that's been a big skill set shift and had to be fundamental because I think we were a little bit afraid to get rid of people who needed to go because we didn't have a good way of replacing them when there was already too much work. So that's just an example of something that has been wonderful.
oh, I'm so glad to hear that, because actually that's how you get to withdraw from divisions. So basically, it's like forget being client focused, be team focused. Like be a leader first and then a client manager. And that's wholesome for me.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, we're continuing on with Wize, and I have a feeling that in a year I will have largely withdrawn from the business, and it's good. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten this to this point on my own. I probably would have just either endured and just the options are, and I talk to a lot of CPAs like this, shrink it down, like get rid of staff, get rid of clients, like just shrink it down to something you can handle on your own with maybe your favorite staff person and probably make just as much money without the headache. That's kind of like the normal escape fantasy, and I had that too. Or build it up to the point where it's big enough to where it doesn't need you, but that's a lot harder to do. Shrinking it down feels like a cop out. I don't really want to do that. So I'm really happy to have clarity on how to grow.
Yeah, and slowly but surely. So you're on track. And thank you so much for sharing all of this with me. This is so valuable, your journey and anything that we can help. We're happy to help.